So you're actually going to see, I don't want to say a little of me, but in terms of this month, the only two sessions that I am going to be running potentially is the one today, which is talking about strategic direction, okay, and the one on the 29th of September, which is difficult conversations. And then the rest of the month, we've got, in actual fact, 3 experts coming in to talk to us, 3 people coming to talk to us. Next week, Tuesday, is Christine Tadhope, which I think some of you have met. And she's talking finance, looking at finance from a business perspective. And then the amazing Fiona, who's on the call, is talking to us on the 15th of September around risk. All right, around business risk. And then the 22nd of September is a lady by the name of Nicole Skuman, who's coming to talk about collaboration. Sorry, and I'll obviously do the CEO review. So this month is quite a couple of other people. On the 10th of September, Janine will be running the implementation. I won't be with you. On the 17th of September, Fiona is going to be running the implementation session with Janine and I, just in case there's any questions. And then there isn't one for Nicole, but what we're thinking of doing is bringing her in on the first session for next month, you know what I mean, for the first implementation session. So I just wanted to, let's just kind of have that at the back of our head and know that this month we're really talking about back to basics in your business, those foundations that need to be in your business, both at the beginning of your business, but also it's very critical to visit those foundations again and again. All right. Okay. So Joel, you can take it away so that I can see all the beautiful ladies' faces, and then we can start to talk about this wonderful thing. Oh, is it Hamish's birthday on the 10th? It's my mom-in-law's birthday on the 10th. Also, my best friend's son. It's a good day to be born. All right. Okay. So let's just say this about strategy. I know that for some of you in this room, and I won't name you, but I'll just look at you, and well, I mean, I could name you, that for many of you in this room, that strategy is the thing that you actually provide to other clients as a service, all right? And other people pay you to do their strategy, right? Melanie's hiding behind her cardigan, all right, Joanna? I mean, exactly the same. People pay you to go and innovate. And if we think about it, that's strategy. I'm sure Cindy's also been. So on strategy meetings, Labo also, lots of projects, I'm sure, you know what I mean, around strategy. So I do not want to reinvent the wheel this morning, and I am really looking at those ladies to add to the conversation this morning. But what I often find is that because we are so focused on providing strategy to our clients, all right, and that we get paid to do strategy at our clients, we sometimes neglect our own strategy in our own business. You know, we're exhausted from doing other people's strat, so we actually don't really look at our strat in the way that we should. Is that true for any of you? Okay, all right. Other thing is, let's ask you this. How many of you have been on strategy planning sessions, if you were ever in the corporate world, all right, that you've walked away and thought, what the hell? Okay. Like, this was an absolute waste of 2 days, because all we did was we listened to the CEO, and everybody just deferred to what the senior executives were saying. There we go. I like what Melanie said, a total waste of makeup. All right. And that is where I'm going to start with the starting points. All right. Because strategy is not so much about listening to what senior executives are saying. I like to think of strategy as the dream state. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what strategy actually is. You can go and look at the projects that work with a strategy afterwards, but strategy is supposed to be inspiring when you do it, and strategy is supposed to be future driven when you do it, and strategy is supposed to get you out of your current reality and living in the future reality of where you want to go. Now, for many, many people, that is extremely difficult. And I know for some of you, this is why you avoid it. Do you know what I mean? It's quite difficult for a lot of people to go to that future state and really understand the future state and see themselves in the future state, right? I know it's my zone of genius, and it's why I do strat with people, because I am able to quite quickly, and some of you know that I can go quite quickly to that future state and then work you back, right? So to start us this morning, I'm going to do a little exercise that I always do whenever I'm working with strategy on anybody, with anybody. And I want you to, if you can, go to the internet quickly, or just kind of, you can pop into the comments, or you can do anything you want to, all right? But it's something I want you to think about. What is something that represents your business today? It can be a quote, it can be a picture, it can be a person, it can be anything, but something that represents your business today on the 1st of September 2020. Okay. Lisa, is there a picture that goes with that? If you've got a picture or quote or anything, just pop it into the comments. All right. So Lisa, what I want to say to you is, I want to say to you, yes, I agree with you, but I disagree with you. All right. I agree to disagree with you. I wonder if that is there's your business today, right? That picture is your business today. And if you guys want to, I don't think I can share my screen. So if Joel just wants to open it, right. So I want to give you an example, right? Because it's not the strategy I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that represents your business today. Maybe it's your office. Do you know what I mean? Like that you're working in a tiny office. Lisa's picture's good. You know what I mean? It's just meatballs on a plate at this stage, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, Lisa. Please don't misunderstand me. All right, okay. But it's something that represents your business today to you. So emojis represent your business today, Melanie.
You can share, Diane.
Can I share? I just want to go. Oh. Okay, so let me share the screen. So Lisa says, this is what represents her business today. So Lisa, when I look at this, all right, I see plant-based food, okay, and I see that you basically, that what represents your business today is 2 products. Do you know what I mean? You have a product-based business with 2 products, and that's your business today, right? Okay. I know it's hard because I put you on the spot to think about this, but I want you after, sorry, my dogs are going crazy. My housekeeper got back yesterday and my puppy is very scared of her. So my apologies. All right. I want you just to think about this afterwards. Right. Now I want to flip the switch. I want you to think of something, a quote, a picture, anything that represents your business in 5 years' time.
You want us to do what? Come back on. You're on mute.
Sorry, it's just I'm muting myself so you don't hear the dog barking. Is that I want you now to flip the switch. Now, I've said 5 years, but it can be 2 years, it can be 1 year, it can be whatever. Flip that switch, okay? And now say, what do I want, something, a picture, a quote, whatever, to represent my business in 5 years' time? So let's take, I'm going to give Kerry an example. All right, I hope I'm saying your name right, Kerry. But maybe today your business is represented by the fact that you're selling it on an online store. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what it is, the online store. But maybe in 5 years' time, the picture that you show me that represents your business is IKEA, meaning you're wanting to be stocked by IKEA in 5 years' time, right? Do you know what that picture for your business looks like?
Sorry, Diane, you broke up there.
Okay, so Kerry, let me give you
about stocking at IKEA.
Okay, so did you hear my first part or did you only hear the last part?
I only heard the last part.
Okay, so let me start with the first part. So I said maybe your picture for your business today, and Kerry does furniture. Maybe her picture for her business today is an online store. Do you know what I mean? Like she has an online store and that's how she's selling her stuff. But maybe her picture for 5 years' time is IKEA, meaning I'm going from having an online store where you can just buy my products in my online store to 5 years' time, my strategy is I'm going to be stocked by IKEA throughout the world. All right. It is so critical that you start to think about what it is, okay, that you're wanting to go to. Where am I now? But I'm wanting to go somewhere. And that's where we've got to start. Like, where am I now and where do I want to go to? And I know it's very, very difficult, all right? I like what you said. Mine is currently a plant with no flowers. It's alive but thriving, but not thriving yet. And I want to get to a thriving business. Now, I want to say to you, you've got to think about this. So can I give you an example of a business where I did this many years ago and how it just fundamentally, everything around the business was built by what this picture was that they had around the future. Because I know these are difficult questions, all right? And most probably you've never thought about it in this context. So there was in quite a while ago, there was a retailer in South Africa, an online retailer called Kalahari.net. But they were the first people in South Africa to actually start to do online retail. And they only did really books and stuff like that. But when we did their strategy with them, all right, they saw a book, you know what I mean? Like that was just it. When we asked them what was the picture and the executives brought stuff with, they brought books with. They said, this is what we do. We sell books. And then the CEO, when we asked, what is the future? All right. He said, I have a saying in my head for the future. I said, okay, what is it? Okay. And the saying went like this: click, click, ding, dong. Click, click, ding, dong, right? Which means that I click here and ding dong, my doorbell is ringing and it's there, right? And everybody sat back and went, wow, all right, that's very interesting. And then we said, okay, and everybody bought into that, and the entire business was shifted within 18 months to recreate the business to go click, click, ding dong, right? And one of the things about Kalahari was it was the first place in South Africa where if you lived in a center like a Cape Town or a Johannesburg, that you could press buy now, and if you bought before 10 o'clock in the morning, your doorbell rang that same afternoon, all right? And that all came from this question. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is the business now, but what is the picture that you have in your head, or the quote, or the saying, or whatever it is, the song, what is that future vision of your business? That makes sense, ladies? It's not an easy question, am I right? But it's one that forces you to actually think in a different way. And for those of you who are not in business, I want to talk to those of you who are not in business alone, and then I want to talk to those of you who are in business alone, right? First of all, to those of you who are not in business alone, get everybody to do this. Why? Because you want to see, are you all on the same path? If I have got a vastly different idea to what my co-founder has with me in my business, we're going to struggle. Do you know what I mean? Because we are both envisioning a very different future for the business, and the conversations need to be had at the beginning of the business, all right? And also throughout. But those of you who are alone in business, don't do this alone. It's my first rule for strategy. Do not try and do strategy on your own, all right? It doesn't work. You have to bring in somebody else, most probably I'd say you need about 4 people around the table. You can bring in a client. I sometimes bring in a client. And get them to tell you how they see your business today and what they would like to see your business in the future. Any questions or comments with that I've said? Cindy?
I've got a question. So I think I get it. It's because I struggle a little bit because of the way our business is. It's a tech business. The moment we put something out, it's global. So what I think I hear is, for now it's just the one client, but for future it's say 20 clients.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or it's at the moment the thing that you would bring is we have one client contract. Do you know what I mean? That's our client contract. That's all we have. That's our business. Okay. Or it could be that the business is being run on a shoestring. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying the business is being run on a shoestring. The future vision of your company is that you're having an office with branding on, and there's actually a legal team who takes care of the actual contract.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Cindy, because I was thinking, because you have pivoted a few times, and what is the big game for you? I'm not going to answer it, but
It is that.
Yeah.
It is that. And you've got to have, so what I often do is I just get people, because I make it visual, I get them to print out the thing, do whatever, and I put it on the wall. Do you know what I mean? That future vision where it's there, we can see it. That's what we're working towards, so that we know what it is, right? I'm going to ask you a slightly different question now, but I wanted to start there, and I wanted to say to you, it's about understanding where you are today, how you see your business today versus how you want your business to be into the future. I'm going to give you another example now when I work through something else. I know these are difficult questions. Strategy is not meant to be easy, eh? Remember that. Strategy is meant to stretch you, you know what I mean? To not beyond where you can go, but it's like an elastic band, you know what I mean? Strat's got to stretch you. And that's also why you're wanting other people in the room who are constantly just asking you the difficult questions. Do you know what I mean? Like, is that really what you want to do? Or are you just following everybody else and that's what you think you should be doing, but it isn't really what you should be doing? All right. So what I want to do this morning also is I want to work through a little worksheets, chasing dollar signs. There we go. Is that today, Fiona, or in the future?
You come off quickly, sorry. That's in the past. So because that's where I found I've actually made the mistakes, is in the past, when you just chase the money without thinking, does it like fall into the greater, does it fall into the greater picture of what you're actually looking for?
And okay, so I want to, Jill, will you just put the document into the session? And then I haven't actually got it open, so I just want to quickly just open it. I had everything else open except that. Okay. So I've put together a very little, a small document to get you started, all right? And I should have started the session by saying, look, we could spend the entire day talking strategy. Do you know what I mean? We've literally got like 1 hour. So I was trying to think, what could I do that could get you, to start thinking? The first one is what I've just asked you to do. Second one is a very short document, and I'm going to talk through some of the stuff there. And yeah, and like I said, I have strategists on the call with me, so they can help me through this if they want to. Right, so let me just share my screen. Okay, so the first thing I want you to think about is, why did you actually start this business? What was your personal motive? Not money. It can be money, please, but what was your personal motivation for starting this business? What was the personal motivation for you for starting this business? The reason you started this business? And you don't have to answer it now. I mean, you can go, I'm giving you the doc, so you can go away and think about it. Okay, there we go. Jill, I needed time. Okay, so I wanted time. Lisa, can I challenge you?
You may.
Wanted options. That's the reason you started your business.
Yeah.
You wanted options. All right. I don't want to be, another thing I would say is that you started your business because you wanted options, but also you were being forced into a box, and you're not a person who likes boxes. We know that from having worked with you. So you were like, I need to break the box, okay? And that's partly the reason why you started this business. I'd reached an income ceiling, right? To affect change. So Cindy, just come off and let me ask you this, all right? And I've said to you 3 times, sorry about the dogs, so you just have to ignore them now, all right? No. But to affect change, was it that you were irritated?
Yeah.
There we go. So there's the actual motivation. Yes, it was to affect change, but the actual motivation for me starting my own business was I was irritated. Do you know what I mean? Like, my motivation was irritation, and maybe the same as Lisa's, because it's very often our reason for starting the business is I want to break the box. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm being put in this box and I want to break the box. And I know that for 80% of female entrepreneurs that I work with, the reason one of the reasons that they started their business was freedom. If we go behind and we really get behind why they started their business, it's freedom. Do you know what I mean? Freedom of choice, freedom of decision, freedom of how much money I want to make. There's like this, this this thing about freedom for them, that they felt in their jobs that there wasn't freedom. There we go. Rosé said there was no employed work in Cape Town. All right. So I was forced potentially into doing my own thing. Look at Lisa, I'm challenging. Rosé has told me before, Rosé has told me before, that she didn't like being employed. Do you know what I mean? And again, Rosé, maybe it was, think about it logically. Did you like the way that they were running the business? Do you know what I mean? Did you feel heard when you were in the business? I know for Melanie and I, we've done this conversation before. It's that, yeah. So, I mean, for me, I know that part of my reason for starting my business, and I'm very clear about it, was freedom. And secondly, I was tired, all right, of seeing things that other people couldn't see and telling them the stuff, all right, and then 6 months later it comes to pass, and then everybody says, but why did we not know this? Well, we knew this, you just chose not to listen to me. So I had, like you, Cindy, that's why I was asking, like this massive irritation factor. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is it going to take for you to actually listen to me? Well, if you're not, then I need to go somewhere where I will be listened. Right. Okay. Melanie Jackson said, yeah, producing crap written documents. All right. So my motivation was, again, Melanie, freedom to create in the way that I want to create, not the way that you are forcing me. I want you to think about this, all right? And the reason why that question is so important is because it's got to come through, as I've said before to you ladies, it's got to come through in your marketing material. Do you know what I mean? We've got to see it. We've got to understand the actual reason why you started this business. Okay, second question. What's your long-term goal for your business? Now, this was what I was doing with you earlier on, all right? But I just want to see something, all right? Now, this one is a very interesting one, and I want you to make some notes. What is your long-term goal for your business? Because this is slightly different to what maybe you're thinking. Are you building a legacy business? Are you building a business that you want it to be a legacy business, that it is around for years to come, all right? And potentially, if you have children, that you're building a legacy business to give over to your children. Is that the goal for your business, all right? Is the goal for your business to create a business that allows you to live the life that you're wanting to live? Right. Fiona says Bailey doesn't want to be in insurance. All right. Yeah, I can just imagine that. The second one is, what are are you building for the long term? Not a legacy business, but you're building for the long term, that this business has to sustain you financially into your retirement, and then you'll decide what you're going to do with it. Or are you building a business that you're wanting to sell? Are you building a business that you're wanting somebody else to buy it from you? Or are you building a business where you are going to ultimately go to market for equity? It's a critical question, this one. Yes, Joel?
Okay, so for me, I know that I'm building a business to live the life that I want to live, because I don't want to clock in, clock out. I know that 100%. But that's not necessarily mutually exclusive from maybe somebody wants to buy it into the future. So so let's say 5 years from now, it's successful enough that I don't want to do it anymore, and I'm happy to sell it, my client book or whatever I call it. Are those mutually exclusive, or is my goal no, let me rephrase it. So my goal is at the moment to create the life that I want. If that comes from it, that's great, but that's not my end goal. Or should that be a mini end goal? if that's my way of thinking. That's my question.
I want to say this to you, and it answers Fiona's as well. I want you to, I never do strat longer than 2 years, pure and simply with people, because we don't know what the world is going to look like in 2 years, and your business will change. All right. It will change. You can have this where I'm building the life, but ultimately I may change that to saying I'm wanting to now sell this business. It no longer serves me. All right. Then you'll change the goal. Do you know what I mean? But when you change that goal, the reason why this is so important to know is that as you're building, if you're building a business that you're wanting to sell or to have equity in, you are going to build a very different business to what you're building, Joel, that says it gives me the life that I want to live.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Okay. And that's why it's so critical to understand, what am I actually doing here? Am I building a legacy business? So if we take my hubby's business, my husband is building a legacy business. He wants to give his business to his children, right? It's a legacy family business. Therefore, it's being built in one particular way. All right. I am building a business like you, Joel, that kind of frees me to live the life that I want to live. So when we look at our business models, they look very different to each other. But I'm currently working with a client again, where when we did this, it became very clear that the business is being built to be sold. You know what I mean? That is what we build in the business. The business is being built to be sold, except that had never been written anywhere. It had never been written in any document anywhere. It had never been communicated with the staff, all right? The systems were never built to sell this business. The person is too integral in everything in the business. You can't sell a business if you are integral to every part of your business. So the work I'm now doing with this person is every decision we're making, I'm saying, does that set it up to be sold? Does that set it up to be sold? All right. Is that the right system to bring in, or is it too dependent on you? Now there's a 2-year time frame that they want to sell it. So it goes back to the decision making that you are having to take in your business, that you understand what is the goal that I'm actually working towards, right? And I often share a story of a business that I worked with who decided right up front to be sold. Do you know what I mean? And everything in the business was geared to this thing to be sold. And there was a 4-year plan to be sold. They were bought in, well, we actually had a 5-year plan. And I think it was sold, I never remember the exact dates, but I know it was kind of just over year 3. Do you know what I mean? They had actually built the strategy enough, and their strategy, interestingly enough, was they'd identified who they want, the 3 people they wanted to buy them. Because if you're going to do this and you're going to do this properly, then you identify those people right up front, okay? And their strategy was to irritate those people as much as they possibly could and become an absolute thorn in their side, that these people had to buy them to freaking get rid of them. And that's exactly what happened. Good strategy, am I right? The product does not exist anymore. The business does not exist. The product does not exist. Nothing exists of the business. They were well aware that was going to happen. But guess what? The 14 people who worked there are all millionaires.
Can I ask a question? That feels to me like a very dangerous strategy to get into when you are growing your business, because I don't feel big enough not to be squashed by these people yet. Not bought, just squashed.
No, so I'm going to say this to you now. I'm not going to answer you now because it's a long, you know what I mean? It's kind of, we'd have to go in. Lisa, book a 10-minute with me on Thursday and I'll talk you through how not to get squashed.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You have to operate, and I'll say to you like this, it's operating on the peripheral, but it's strategic. You're operating on the peripheral the whole time, but it's strategic, and it takes massive energy. And they knew that you do run the risk of them squashing you at a point, but I've got to be one step ahead of them the whole time. Do you know what I mean? And it's massive energy. But that is what they decided. They did not want a long-term business. They wanted a business that that got bought that they wanted money, and they figured out a way to make big money. You know what I mean? By having something. Now, Joanna, maybe that's your strategy.
No, but I was just thinking about that strategy, and there are different ways of executing it. And I mean, we can talk about that forever, but you know, you feel one of the clients you know they want to get, and then you become a real nuisance, or you know, there's a trillion different ways. But no, I agree. But I was going to say that I definitely would like to build to get bought. And even if it's a consulting business, I mean, I've seen it so many times. It's just about finding your niche and then doing it thoroughly.
Yes, yes. And it's about having that niche that they want. So, I mean, so if I shared this, and I'm going to share something in confidence, Lisa, you're not allowed to tell your brother-in-law that I shared this, all right? But it was very fascinating with me last week that Lisa's brother-in-law shared with me that Accenture, which is one of the big consulting houses in the world, and I'm sure we've all heard of them, and some of you will have worked maybe side by side with them. Hope none of you have actually worked for them, but anyway, is that they are buying up ad agencies all over the world. They're buying up advertising agencies, all right? Now, it's a very interesting thing. And he was like, he said to me, why do you think they're buying it, all right? And I said to him, do you know why they're buying it? And he said, yeah, my view is I could kind of see it's got to do with communication. I said, no, Chana, it's got nothing to do with communication. It's got to do with change management, all right? That they never in their proposals put in change management as a fee. It's something that's added on afterwards, and they need the advertising agencies to do the change management. And then I gave him some numbers of how much money they'd actually made out of some projects. And I said, what they've done is they've now realized it's a revenue stream that they were actually outsourcing that should have come in. And now they're going to buy those people. So they're not buying you, they're buying you because it's a new revenue stream into the consulting world, all right? And yeah, and then I just told him, please don't sell to Accenture. But yeah, you know what I mean? But it's kind of, it's all that. And that's why I'm saying, when you make that decision, you really need to work with somebody like me, and I'm not saying me, but somebody like Joanna, Cindy, Melanie, whoever, side by side, that we are consistently going back to that. Do you know what I mean? And that becomes your overarching strategy, and that is how you make your decisions, right? If you're wanting to have a global business, do you know what I mean? It's kind of, so let me give you an example. Janine and I have not done a lot of strategy work around Girl Boss Hustle, but there's a couple of things. So I want to give you an example of how this comes through the business that you're building. Joel and I spent yesterday speaking about social media for Girl Boss Hustle on Facebook. And Joel wanted to put up something about Spring Day. Do you know what I mean? Today. My immediate thing to her was, and it's strategic, I said, no, please don't talk about Spring Day on Girl Boss Hustle, because we're not a South African group. We're not a Southern Hemisphere group. We're building a global business. We talk about the change of season, but we don't peg it to a season, all right? Otherwise, what happens is we're telling people in the Northern Hemisphere that this is not the group for you, and people in the Northern Hemisphere are talking about autumn today are telling the Southern Hemisphere this is not a group for you. It's a subtle strategic change. Do you know what I mean? It's the thinking of we're building a global business, not a South African business. It's the shift, and it filters through everything that you're doing. Right. Okay. Any questions or any comments? Is this making sense to you? I hope so. Yes, Lisa?
I've always got questions. You know, I never shut up. So in terms of strategy in building a global business, for me, just personally for me, should I change my company name, and what are the implications of changing your company name at this stage in a business?
I think you could have two 2 names. Again, it's a very in-depth question that we need to think about. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not going to answer it for you now, but it's kind of saying, do I want to have the South Africanism come through? Do you know what I mean? That ultimately this is a South African built business that goes forward, or what am I looking at? I could have one name for lots of people do that, one name in one country and another name in another country. Yep.
Expensive though, with branding.
Very expensive, very expensive. Okay.
It's okay, we'll be really rich by then.
Yeah, of course. There we go. No, yeah, I am going to be very rich by then, is what I want to hear you say. Right. Okay. So the next one is this one. And it's the why, and I'm not going to go into Simon Sinek's big why. I want to just get a show of hands. How many of you have watched Simon Sinek or read the book around really understanding your why? I'm going to pop up the video into the one that I always send everybody, into the inner circle. If you have not watched it, please watch this, because it is the one of the core things that you have to get clear for yourself and for your customers. Customers buy from you not because of what you do, they buy from you because of why you do it. You have to play on the customers. You know, there's many people who do electric cars, all right? There's many people who do electric cars. Why do people buy Tesla? Because everything in their business is built around their why. Do you know what I mean? It's why people are attracted. So to just start you on the process, it's why should your company exist? How is my life or my business going to change because of what you do? And you don't have to answer it now, but how is my life or my business going to change because of what you do? If you're working with individuals, start to think about it. And for those of you who've been with us for a while, Kerry, I'm going to give you an idea. I want you to write something down on a piece of paper. You've got to get clear in the background. What are you really selling? Okay, you sell furniture, luxury furniture, but you're not really selling luxury furniture. You're selling lifestyle, okay? You're selling belonging. You're selling beauty. You're selling that stuff. I'll send you a little message afterwards on Facebook, just giving you the things, and you've got to think. You've got to check off. Why would I want to work with you? What do I get out of working with you? And I must be honest and say that immediately I share my why with people, and I talk about my why you work with me, why I do what I do, what you get out of working with me, the connection happens like this. Second one is this question. What future vision of the world do you hope, just hold on. Do you hold, and how is your business bringing that to life? What's the future vision of the world that you have? All right. Now, Lisa's got a brilliant future vision. Her future vision is all about children and people eating more healthy. You know what I mean? And it's bringing that to life constantly. Joanna maybe has, I don't know. What's your future vision of the world, Joanna, and how's your business bringing it into? I don't want to put words in your mouth. I have in my head what I think your future vision is.
Oh. Well, mine is, because it's more and more going in that direction, is the diversity, that we are changing towards having more diverse company managements.
So all the voices being listened to. Do you know what I mean?
Like, voices being listened to. And now I'm talking about cognitive diversity, right? So all backgrounds. And I'm not talking specifically about women or ethnic minorities. I'm just talking about more, which will make companies much more successful.
Yeah. And that's the future vision, that maybe in my head, as you're talking, everybody gets an equal seat at the table. That's the future vision of when you were saying that, I was like, everybody gets an equal seat at the table. There is no seat that is better than any other seat. So if I was giving you a picture, I'd be putting a round table. Do you know what I mean? I'd be like, well, you need to start some of your stuff showing them, like, you know, King Arthur movies where everybody got an equal seat at the table.
Diane, have you just like sneak peeked into my podcast that is sent on Thursday? That's exactly the visual I put out there.
No, not at all. It's just, I told you that this kind of stuff is where I love to operate. You know what I mean? So, I mean, if I share mine, and that's why I'm saying, what vision of the world do I have, all right? And I think it's why Janine and I connected so well immediately, because we share a very similar vision of the world. And the vision of the world that both of us have is that the more women create wealth and the more women step in to taking a better, I don't want to say better, but they step into their wealth, okay? We create wealth throughout the world, and women step into their power, and we just change the world. But we have to get them to step into their power, and businesswomen particularly, all right? And everything that we do is linked to that constantly. Do you know what I mean?
Fun fact.
Beg your pardon?
Fun fact, female economy is growing faster, double the pace of China and India put together.
Yes.
That as we are stepping into the workforce, we are a stronger power than China and India.
Totally. So I'll give you 2 stats. All right. One of them I'm waiting because I want to actually share the research with all of you guys, and I need to follow it up today. So 14,000 women in the United States start a business every day. 14,000 women per day start businesses in the United States. Okay. I mean, that is a crazy number. I'm not saying they're successful. I'm not saying what businesses they are, but that's the stat. Second one, which I found very interesting, is that Africa has the most female entrepreneurs in the world, but are the most underserviced. Do you know what I mean? Like, they are not serviced at all, but Africa has the most female entrepreneurs. So the Catholic Church has commissioned some African research, and as soon as I get my grubby hands on it, they've given me some of it already. I'm just waiting for the docs. I will share it with all you ladies, and I think it's going to blow your mind. Do you know what I mean? Because Africa is the next, for everybody, Africa is the next big thing. You know, everybody's focusing, all the big corporates, whatever. And when the Catholic Church focuses on Africa, then you know that it must be, you know, I mean, they're very wealthy. They can commission research, but you've got to get, what is this future vision that I'm trying to bring to life, and how am I communicating that? And I know for me, last week I met somebody overseas, and we had a conversation, and she said to me, she said, why do you do what you do? And immediately I said to her, I have this belief that if we have women step into their wealth and become strategic in their businesses, because that's what I'm all about. I'm all about strategy in your business. Then we change the world. All right. And she sat back immediately and she went, I need you to come and speak to my group. Because she says other people can't articulate it. Now, did it come to me easy? No, I had to sit down and I had to work this out. Do you know what I mean? Like, what am I wanting to get out of it? Where am I going? So the next one, which is the one that I just want to focus on, is something that I do very often in strategy. And this is, what is your client's deeper issue beyond the symptoms you're seeing? And I want to just explain what I mean to that. So very often we are fixing the symptom that we are seeing. Our product or our service is, when we proposing to the client, is fixing the symptom, right? But we have to ask ourselves, how did that symptom appear, and actually fix what is below that symptom, the actual why, and then we fix a whole lot of stuff. Now, I'm going to give you an example, all right? And I could give you 100 examples, but I'm trying to think of one that I want to use a COVID example. Can I use a COVID example? Right. I'm going to use a hospital COVID example, because it's the one that came into my head. I would again, I'm going to say to you ladies, if you want to book 10 minutes with me on Thursday, and I just take you quickly through, you know what I mean, your client and what their deeper why is, you know what I mean, what's below the symptoms, then I'm happy to do that. You know what I mean? Go below. So what happens is that a group of people are sitting around a table, and Labo, I'm going to talk directly to you, okay? A group of people are sitting around a table, and they're saying, we are having people in our hospital die from COVID, right? That's what we're seeing. But in actual fact, that's the symptom. That's not the real thing that's actually going on. When we say, why are they dying? All right, we go one level below. The level below that is, well, it's because we don't have enough ICU beds, right? And then maybe we figure out there is enough ICU beds. I say, okay, but why do you not have enough ICU beds? Well, we don't have enough ICU beds because we don't have enough ICU nurses, all right? Why don't you have enough ICU nurses? Well, there aren't enough in the country. Now, if I go and I only look at the top part of that problem, which is people dying from COVID, do you know what I mean? I will put many things in place and propose stuff, and it will be a failure, and the client will never come back to you. Do you know what I mean? Like you will never get the client back. But if I go the levels down and I actually get to the root cause of what the client's actual challenge is, all right, then I fix that, and then I fix everything going up. Now I want to use I'm going to use Kerry as an example. I want to give you an example in your business, Kerry. So can I ask you to go off mute? So kind of the client says, I want outdoor furniture because I want my patio to look beautiful. But that's actually not, that's the symptom that you're fixing. I want the patio to look beautiful. But the questions I've got to ask go much deeper than that to get to their actual why. And, oh, sorry, let me just tell you what Kerry's business is. So, Kerry, you can write in the comments for us and just give us your website. She has a furniture business that is beautiful. And all of you, as soon as you've made lots of money, you have to buy her furniture. All right, okay. Or otherwise you have to do a deal with her, you know, like, okay.
Great exchanges are welcome.
Yeah, so it's kind of going deeper, because I might sell them something. I might sell them this beautiful patio set, but I'm not getting to the deeper of the why. As I go down and I say, well, why do you want your patio to look beautiful? Well, we spend a lot of time outside. Why do you spend a lot of time outside, right? Now, I mean, I'm speaking off the top of my head. We spend a lot of time outside because I have a child who does not like being inside, right? Why does the child not like being inside? Well, maybe the child has tactile issues, and they, you know, the sun works for them because they get very cold. Now, when I'm selling to them, Kerry, I'm not talking about how beautiful this furniture is. I'm going to the much deeper level of why they're actually buying this, all right? Then I don't talk about that my furniture is beautiful and it's going to look beautiful in a photo shoot. I'm going to talk about, in my marketing and stuff, I'm going to talk about the things that we have made sure that this is very practical for children who like to spend a lot of time outside. Our cushions are very durable. Do you know what I mean? You can wash them. Am I making sense to you, Kerry? So it's kind of going that deeper level. And once you get that right, okay, then the magic starts to happen. Take some of your clients and look at them and understand why they're coming to you with the symptom, but what's the deeper why? And the moment you go to the deeper why, that's when you just hit through the ceiling with your strat. There we go, Lisa, exactly. You've got to start researching why people eat badly. And you've got to bring it through, all right? So let me give you an example. There's a symptom that most female entrepreneurs say, and particularly female entrepreneurs, they say, I want my business to succeed, but strategy is hard. I want my business to succeed. I know I need strategy, but strategy is hard. And then I get deeper and deeper about why they think strategy is hard. So what do I do with every single thing? I don't say to them that strategy is not hard, all right? I just say, work with me and I'll make it easy. I'll give you tools that you'll use exactly the same tools as what the big corporates are using, but I will just make it simplistic for you. You know what I mean? Because in actual fact, what's happening for them is they feel inferior because people are giving them tools and they don't actually understand what these tools are, but they feel inferior to ask it. So I say things like, I'll write it in your language. You know what I mean? I'll work with you. And where you don't understand something, I'll make it easier. This is the critical one. Get to the deeper level of the why. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm working there at what, right? Go deeper. Start to figure out why. Have you ever done that, any of you? Fiona, come on and tell us.
It's particularly with insurance. People buy insurance. The only reason why they buy it is because they have to. And there's nobody that wakes up in the morning and goes, oh, I want to buy a brand new insurance policy today because it sounds like a good idea and a good place to spend my money. It never feels like a good idea or place to spend your money. You buy it because you have to. But when you go a lot deeper than that, it's, you know, from an insurance perspective, it's, you know, the questions that we ask as brokerage is what is important to you? And if it's important enough to you that you can't have it tomorrow, then it's worth insuring. You know, so my dad, many years ago, when he still lived in the UK, actually sold life insurance. And the best way that he managed to get people to buy life insurance, and I don't sell life insurance, was to ask them, do you love your family? And if the answer was yes, he says, well, then you need to buy an insurance policy, because what happens when you die or you aren't here? And it's a simple question, but it's going to the very core of why you would buy a life insurance policy. But the same can be said for short-term insurance. The same could be said for anything. But if you love your family, why are you not buying a life insurance policy? And that's going to the very core of why you would bother paying that money every month. And you see the debit orders going off your account and you think, oh God, here we go again. You know, it's the 1st of September. But I mean, I'm the same. I feel it as well. I've got to buy insurance. I've got to buy insurance for my things and for my business and whatever. And when those debit orders go off, I'm like, oh yeah, here we go again. I know, I feel it. I'm exactly the same as everybody else. But it's asking the right questions to get people to be on the trigger side of it, to say, okay, yes, I actually do need that, or actually that is important, or I do know somebody that experienced X, Y, and Z, whatever it was. And the devastation that follows, you know, because life happens. So that's my 2 cents.
So it's kind of, thanks. And Fiona, that is so key. You know what I mean? And it's kind of taking it, and the way that I do it always is just on a wall, and we just ask why. It's a 6 Sigma, am I right? It's Kaizen 6 Sigma. I mean, it's start with why, you know what I mean? Get to the root cause analysis, go down. And you'll start to just build out there products that you could put out, or services that you put out, really gearing towards some of these things and taking others away, right? And then you're linking it with what's my client's actual root cause, why, you know what I mean, why they need this, and then my why of the difference I want to make in the world. And then you marry the one with the other. You marry the one with the other. And that's where it becomes so easy to start putting stuff together. Okay, last one. because I said I didn't want to, and that's what I was saying now. How and what do you deliver to meet your client's why? How do you deliver this in a way that is, okay, I like that, all right. What do you deliver and how do you deliver it? By story, yeah. And Lisa, yours is preachy, but it's kind of storytelling. And we've said it again and again. Just bring out the stories. Do you know what I mean? Bring out that what the benefits are through storytelling in eating better. So I just want to get some other. I made some other notes on my phone, so I'm just going to look down. Okay, so I wanted to just very briefly, because I think we'd need to do another session on it. All right, I did promise you ladies that I would talk very briefly through the Disney strategy model, all right, and how they do it. All right, now the Disney strategy model means that you can't do this on your own. All right, you have to have at least 3 people to do the Disney strategy model. You have to have at least 3 people, and you've in actual fact got to have at least 3 separate rooms. So if you were doing it at your offices, you would need to set up 3 very different rooms, and they would look very different, right? And the rooms are labeled as follows. The rooms are the dreamer, the dreaming room. And you can decide. I mean, I always have fun in setting these things up. Do you know what I mean? So what I do in the dreamer room is I normally get people to dress up. You know what I mean? Like I take them completely out of their comfort zone. There's no chairs. There's only bean bags and all sorts of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like I want to get them completely out of their comfort zone in the dreamer room. And then the second room is the real room, the realist room. All right, that's the second room. And that normally I will have a circle of chairs if I'm working with a team in the realist room. And then the last room is the critic room. Now, what you do is you move from room to room. You have to start in the dreamer room, obviously, and you get each person. So if I was working, let's say, with Labo, Fiona, and Joel, all right, and we were doing Fiona's strategy, I would get each of them to go into the dreamer room first, all right, and they just need to, and you've heard me say this before, they just need to start to dream around just what do I want? What can I see in this future? All right. There's no restrictions here. There's no criticism. It's just, how do I envision this business looking? All right. How do I do it? And we ask these questions. What do you really want in your business? What do you really want in your business? What's the solution that you're working towards? What's the solution or the offerings that you're working towards? And how do you imagine this happening? You know what I mean? How do you imagine this happening? So you can see it's a lot of imagination in that room. How do you imagine this happening? How do you imagine this taking place, all right? And you then just put all of that up, right? But nothing gets taken down. Everything is just put up. And that's where I use a lot of this picture that I was asking you earlier. So in the dream state, I take it and I say, what's the future vision? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's something that you're seeing the company? I remember I did once with the company, and it was quite interesting how a good number of people saw their organization as having this amazing parks, you know what I mean, at their head office and stuff like that. And they went on to really get behind why their staff was seeing that. Other thing, if you're doing strategy in a company, there's one person I always invite into the strategy, and I know all of you are going to laugh, so I'll just stay here while you laugh. I always invite either the tea lady or the receptionist into the strategy, all right? Because they actually know what's going on in your organization, and the rest of the world thinks they do. Because tea ladies and receptionists disappear. Nobody thinks about what they're saying in front of those people, all right? And you'd be shocked at what they tell you and how they overhear clients as well. They're such a rich source of information of what your clients are saying, especially your receptionist when they're sitting in reception. If you ever have receptionists, please bring them into your strategy. Right. So the second one is the realist. Right. Now, the realist has to look at these things and say, so how we do it is I do it like this. I bring the realists in. Now, everybody, sorry, I should have started this and say, every single person has to do all three. It's not like you only put some people in dream and only some people in realist and some people in critic. Everybody has to do every one, right? Then you go to the realist ones and you start to look at which of these do you think will actually work, right? So you take some and you say, I don't think that's ever going to work, and you put it on a wall. And then you go into a time frame of saying, which of these do you think are manageable in the next 2 years? You know what I mean? And if they are, how would we go about doing this? How would we actually do this? And how would we evaluate this idea? If I think it's crazy, do you know what I mean? Like, and I'll say, because the other thing I often do is I make it anonymous so that people can't attack other people. And I've even done it with teams where I've written everything for them in the dream state. I write it so that nobody actually knows who came up with this idea, because otherwise it's just not given the value that it's supposed to be given. And then the third one is obviously the critic, okay? And then the critic does the why we can't do this. Do you know what I mean? Like they just become hypercritical. Okay. They come from the point, this is never going to work. And let's figure out the reasons why this is never going to work. Right. How on earth would we do this? This is not going to work. And they come from that. And once you do that and you put all those things down, you actually at the end of the day come out with something that is dreamt but real. And that is how they do every single one of their movies. Everything they do. That's exactly how they do it. All right. They have a dream room. They have a realist room. They have a critic room, all right? And they migrate from one to the other, and every single person gets a chance to go into all three rooms. And you switch the people up so that not everybody's in the dream room at the same time. So it wouldn't, if Melanie, Janine, and Cindy went into the dream room, it would be Melanie, Lisa, and Fiona who went into the critic room, so that we make sure that we're getting diversity. So Jana, going to what you were saying, is in this situation, every single person at the table gets a chance and nothing is put aside. And that is, I've done it. I mean, I obviously have signed big confidentiality agreements, but I've done this and I've seen incredible stuff happen. Do you know what I mean? I've done it both in South Africa and internationally. And I have seen Strat come to life like that, because I think so often what's happening is we're so focused in the weeds and we're not focused in the dream state of where we're actually wanting to go, right? And we have to, in Strat, I'm going to end with saying that Strat is the dream state, all right? It's what is the dream for me? What is the dream for my organization? What is the dream for my clients? And the rest you can figure out. Yep, Labo, people start with a critique room. No. And so I often, I will fire people off a Strat session. That sounds terrible, but I do. I've fired people off a Strat session. I've asked them to leave. Some of them were the CEOs. I'm like, can you just leave? Because I'm not interested in what you have to say. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm here to do a job. not here to take your view versus everybody else's view. And it is quite difficult, but for those of you who are in a small business, like most of you are, it's about bringing a couple of other people in, you know what I mean, who understand what you're doing, and they're able to just do this with you and look at it with you and say, okay, I think this is what we're going to do. But if you don't do anything, don't worry about the Disney strat. Don't worry about that. If you do nothing, just understand, what is it? What's my goal for my business? Am I building a legacy business? Do you know what I mean? Like, why did I start my business? What's my goal for my business? What's the bigger thing I'm wanting to bring into the world? And how do I meet that with my clients? Any questions or comments? I feel like I've spoken a hell of a lot today. Let me ask you this. Anybody feeling overwhelmed? Okay. So I want to say to you this. Just take one thing. If you just take this and understand why, what is it that you're doing? What bigger vision of the world are you wanting to bring? Just understand that. Nothing else. Right? Let's say you're wanting to have people more healthy, get, you know what I mean, recover from injuries quicker. Joel, you're wanting people to be able to build their businesses without having to worry about the stuff that you worry about. There's your big thing. Just focus on that, right? Everything else will come. Melanie, I know because you've pivoted your business, so it's a little bit like, where am I now? But you know this stuff. Those of you who want a session on Simon Sinek's Why, Melanie does it for a living. All right, so I think that maybe what we should do is get Melanie to actually come and do the Why session. Do you know what I mean? Would you be willing to do that for us? Right, and then to take you through all those things. And I know in his original video, he uses Apple as an example, but I think an organization today in the world who's really focused on their why is Tesla. A lot of other people are making electric cars, all right? A lot of other people are making, everybody's talking about it, but
Melanie, talk up here a little bit.
Beg your pardon?
It's quite funny. Janine and I are smiling because we're trying to redo the Simon Sinek Find Your Why video with African examples. And we're really struggling to find African examples. And I think Tesla is African enough with dear Elon that we might actually be able to use it maybe instead of Apple. So if anyone has any thoughts, if you've watched the Simon Sinek video and you have any thoughts about South African example or African examples that could fit the 4 examples that he uses, please let me know. But Diane, I wanted to ask you quickly, do you want me to do a business finding your why, not an individual one? Yeah, business.
No, business finding your why. Yeah, Nando's would be one. Nando's is definitely one. Sorbet's another one. Sorbet, definitely, you know what I mean? Brilliant business to look at. Yeah.
We should have just asked here.
Yeah, there we go. And Janine knows somebody. Do you know what I mean?
And in Durban, in fact, is Afro Chicken. Afro Chicken has suddenly exploded, and they are Durban boys, and they started in a container. They started their business in a container. Why do I know this? Because Joshua had to do a whole economics project on the damn thing. So anywho, South African boys.
Yeah, the other one that you may not like, all right, but I know that they did a lot of work on it way before they realized what they were doing, is Checkers.
Oh, yeah.
You may not like to use them and they may not allow you to, but they're also a good example of looking at it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, there's a couple. So, yeah, Melanie, I'd love you to come in and do a session on why. Maybe what we should do, I'm trying to think. I wonder if it shouldn't be our implementation session on Thursday. What do you think,
You
ladies?
don't waste time, do you?
No, I don't know. What do you think, ladies? Let's go.
Thursdays are bad for me because
Oh, yes.
webinars at 11.
Okay, what about next week, Thursday on the 10th?
Can't do Thursdays.
Oh, I can't do Thursdays. Okay, and the Tuesdays are
Unless
okay.
you
We'll
want-
chat. We'll chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll find a space for Janine, for Melanie to do the why, because I think it's really, really important. For those of you, I'm going to post the why video up into the Facebook page, all right? And if you've never watched it, watch it. But it's one of these videos that you've got to watch 2 or 3 times. Do you know what I mean? Because it doesn't ground with you the first time, because you kind of like it's new concepts, and then the second time it's kind of okay, and then just to draw the circles around what's my why, how am I doing this, what am I offering, and how do they link to each other, right? Okay, I've watched it about 100 times. Yeah, I think so far. You know what I mean? I'm so sick of, I'm not sick of watching it, but it's something I've used so often. There's a couple of others that are actually really good also that you could watch. But so if I could ask you to do me a favor, I am going to challenge you to really just think about what's the, like, what business am I building? Am I building a business that I want to sell? Am I building a legacy business? Am I building a business that I am wanting into my old age? Okay. And if I can ask you to share that into the Facebook page, so that we can, so that I've got it, so that constantly as we're doing, all right, that I know what kind of business you're actually trying to build. And then with that, ladies, have a spectacular day. I hope that was helpful. I could see notes being taken.
Can I ask a question? Will the questions that we went through this morning, will those be posted as well?
Yes. So we'll put
Okay.
we'll just upload that document straight into the Facebook group for you. It'll be in I'll do it in like the next 5-10 minutes, and then you can work through them. And if you have any challenges, whatever, just on the Telegram group, you know what I mean, just pop a question in. And if you're struggling with anything, you want an example, whatever, then just pop a question in. All right. Okay. And
Perfect. Thank you.
Labo, I want to say that some of this stuff is the stuff that you're needing to speak through with your clients. Do you know what I mean? Like making sure that the projects are aligned to what they're actually trying to achieve, because that's where the disconnect often comes. They're doing projects, but they can't align it. We don't see it going upwards. All right. So maybe it's a new offering for you and Melanie to do together into clients, which is what I've been seeing for a long time.